if you want to set up by yourself, know that you're not going to earn money for a while. You'll find in the recruitment industry that most people are on like almost a 20, 25k basic, but then told they should be earning like 100k, then pay them way less than like a market value should be. For me, especially with like a husband and wife business, I wanted a business coach quickly because I've seen a lot of husband and wife businesses where the business has been successful, but the staff haven't enjoyed working there. If you're interviewing a salesperson, they know what you want to hear and they'll tell you what you want to hear. Whereas if you're interviewing an accountant, they'll just tell you what they want.
Hi everyone, you're listening to the Unrelenting Drive podcast, and before we get into today's episode, I just wanted to let you know I started this podcast because over the years I've had hundreds of the most inspiring conversations of my life with small business owners, and they really helped me grow and scale my own business and get my mindset right even when times were really tough. I wanted to capture those conversations and make them available to other small business owners who are following in my footsteps, and I've just got a small request. If you enjoy this episode, if you find it really inspiring, if you find it helps you in your own business, then please just like it and subscribe to our YouTube channel. The more subscribers we get, the more we can invest in making the podcast better. So enjoy the episode. So, hi everyone, you're listening to the Unrelenting Drive podcast. Today I'm being joined by Julie Warner from Warner Recruitment, and it's absolutely amazing to have you on. Julie, could you just tell the audience what you do?
Hello, yes, so I'm Julie from Warner Recruitment. I run a recruitment business and we set up Warner Recruitment in 2020.
That's absolutely amazing, actually. There's a really interesting story of how we met, isn't there?
Yes.
And actually, you should tell it. When did we first meet?
We must have first met in, would it have been 2007?
It would have been, yeah.
Yeah. So that was when I first started my career in recruitment. So I started in recruitment in 2006.
Yeah.
And I worked at Reed as a recruitment consultant, recruiting accountants.
Yeah.
Enters Nishi. A newly qualified, from university accountant. So were you a BSc or?
Yeah, well, actually, I did a degree in chemistry and enterprise management. Yeah,
That's my memory. I just remember you being an accounting.
I mean, it was like 17 years ago, but I had like no experience in accounting, so but I wanted to get into it. So yeah, like I don't know if you got me my first job or it was I can't remember exactly.
Barrett Homes that we placed you. Is that your first accounting job?
I wasn't, but actually, you know what? I had like little bits of experience before then in that case. But yeah, that was it. So you got me like my second one, I think.
Yeah, so with Mike Allen.
Yeah, I'm still in touch with him actually. He's a cool guy. But so it was like you were in your first job out of uni. You got me my first or second job out of uni.
Yes, and then like sort of didn't have contact for years and years after you must have left Barrett Homes.
Yeah.
Because I moved, when I was at Reed, I used to work in Northampton, and then I worked for St Albans and Milton Keynes. So kind of disappeared off the Northampton scene for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we crossed paths again when I set up Warner Recruitment, and obviously you being in here.
Yeah.
And then my dad works in the same building as you. So.
Yeah. So it's a small world. So you were interested in why we sort of invested in the podcast, and we used to do the podcast with Revolution Radio, and they're absolutely amazing. They edited it, they produced it all for us, but we kind of wanted to just bring it in house. So when guests could come in, they could see the story of our business and meet the team, and do it in our own studio, and where we had a bit more of our own branding. So we got the cameras in place, and then, but the real reason I wanted to do it, there was some investment needed, and I think based on the microphones and stuff, there's probably still more to come. But the reason we wanted to do it was because over the years, I've just met the most amazing business owners. Like, I mean, a lot of people out there are amazing, but business owners have always really interested me because of the risks they take. And the humility they have. And I always felt a bit bad when I was having conversations with business owners, and I kind of thought, like, actually, that was really, really inspiring, but I don't really have a way to record that or capture it. And then it was just stuff that was in my mind. Whereas now I just really wanted to create this permanent record of these conversations with business owners. And then down the line, I could watch it, be inspired by it. Obviously it's a marketing tool as well. So that's why we really went down that route. And it, just with everything, I guess we could have just done it as a like a voice only or recording only rather than a YouTube podcast. But we thought because we're doing videos in other areas of our business, it made sense to just continue that theme. So,
real good for you. So, I mean, it's so easy. We've got mobile phones and what have you, so it's great to just be able to record whatever on a phone. But as you develop through it, you do invest in more kit. So you get the microphones, they make a difference. I haven't invested personally in some of the fancy cameras, but
well, I mean, I'm watching your videos actually, and they're really, really good. And I think the most important thing is the consistency, just showing up. Like you do them every day now, don't you?
do I?
I don't know. I seem to see them every day.
Yeah. Something goes on most days, and I do try and make them in the moment.
Yeah.
I'm probably not the most clever of marketeers in that literally I record something and post it the same day, but yeah.
Well, I was in my coaching group earlier, and there's still a lot of people on that group procrastinating. And I'm thinking actually, like you can think too much when it comes to marketing. It's you've just got to do something, even if it isn't that great, because at least then you're on a learning curve. Like you can make it 1% better every single time you do it, and then 100 times later, it's where it needs to be.
Yeah. But for me, it's addictive.
Yeah.
I just love doing it. Hence, I have no idea how many I actually do. I just go, oh, I need to record about this, so I'll go and do it. Yeah.
Well, the other side is we all you notice stuff in your own recordings that most people don't notice. It's like it's a bit like our wedding day when my wife was like freaking out about all the tiny little details. And I was like, hey, no one's even going to notice that. But yeah, it's a bit like that with videos. And I think once you realize that, it just gives you the confidence to just keep on going, and then you just improve and improve and improve.
For sure. I was told about podcasts that I need to have 100 ideas before I even consider it.
Oh, really?
So,
wow.
Yeah. But it sounds like you have got over 100 ideas whizzing around your mind.
No, it's actually, yeah. We do. I jot down a lot of ideas, but for the podcast, actually, the only idea is like invite people, they show up, turn on the filming equipment and capture it. So it's not particularly rehearsed, and it's a bit off the cuff. And if we make a big mistake, we'll just edit it out. So
that's it. You just got to roll with it, see what happens. And I don't know. I've heard quite a few people say that if you are not in the mood, don't do it. I'm not sure I agree with that. In that you can talk yourself out of not being in the mood any day. So I thought, oh, I'll try this. I'll just do it when I'm in the mood. And I think I sort of went probably over a week and didn't do one. And I was like, well, that's not the point. And as you say, no one notices all the little things that you notice about it. Just get something out. Yeah.
I think I agree with that. You should always do it. But the other side is you can, if you stack your content up right, you can, when you aren't in the mood, you can maybe have a week off, because I guess we film these in advance, and then we've always got like a few weeks of surplus in the podcast recordings.
You're cleverer than me.
No, it's just it's something we've learned the hard way, unfortunately. So if there was, but then if I went like 6 weeks not being in the mood, then we'd run out of content.
Sure.
So it's just it just depends on how much further ahead you get. But actually, it's a bit of an incentive for me to just keep going, even producing more than one a week, because actually if I want to go on holiday, I don't want the podcast to not go out, and also if our team go on holiday, I want them to have edited them beforehand.
Oh yeah.
So
nothing like putting your team under a bit of pressure, right? This needs to go out now.
Let's but hopefully now we've got a bit more resource. It should get a bit easier for everyone. Well, Julie, it's absolutely amazing to have you on here. I've kind of known you a long time, but maybe I don't really know that much about you. How did you get from like finishing university? Well, I did
go to university. Yeah.
Yes.
So I did dance and business studies at university.
Oh, did you? Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Random combination, right?
It's no more random than mine. It's
what was yours? You said
chemistry with enterprise management.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't. So what's enterprise management?
It's like starting up a business, essentially.
Okay, that is an unusual combo. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 3 quarters chemistry, 1 quarter management. But it was, the idea was you could set up a pharmaceutical company and grow like a seed pharmaceutical company. But I just realized actually I hated chemistry, loved business. So that's how I got into accounting.
Super. So here you are.
But sorry, you're dance and...
So unusual combo with dance and business studies. So dance was always my hobby, but I knew if I went for an interview after doing a dance degree,
Yeah.
I'd never be taken seriously, as in,
Okay.
why aren't you dancing? Why aren't you performing? And I knew that I didn't want dance as my career. So
Yeah.
I thought your degree should be fun. You should do something you like. But by having the business studies with it, it genuinely did turn out that way. And that when I did go for interviews, people accepted that, yeah, dance was my hobby. I did it for fun. And then I did the business as a more serious element.
Yeah.
And then straight after university, my dad goes, you should get into sales.
Yeah.
So it's like if you get me onto a topic about different generations, then you'll lose me. But my dad's a proper baby boomer and kind of like the work hard generation.
I see him every day. Yeah,
Like
he's
work
like
hard and you can't go far wrong. And so he said you should start a career in sales. So I went into telesales, did about a year of telesales, and then was out for lunch with a good friend of mine. And one of her good friends was in recruitment and said, "Oh, we've got an opportunity in Northampton if you fancy putting your details forward." And I did, and the rest is history, so to speak.
What were you selling?
At the time, gosh, it was like outsourced sales. So one of the things I was selling was like this Genesis conferencing, which was basically like video meetings, which I guess is more prevalent in 2020 than it was probably in 2005.
Yeah, so like a really early version of Zoom, maybe, or like a.
Pretty much. And then I also did some work for Dove Nash. So I used to do sales book appointments for Dove Nash for one of them.
Oh, amazing! Okay,
I did one for like a training company. So all sorts. Outbound sales.
So you went from that and you got into recruitment. That was Reed, your first recruitment job?
Reed was my first recruitment job, So in the Northampton office, Fish Street as it was at the time.
Yes.
So they had their head office at on St Giles. Is it called St Giles Street?
They're still there, aren't they?
No, it's called Charles House. Sorry, they used to be in Charles House. Now they've moved to Brackmills. We're actually in the office just opposite them at the moment.
Oh, amazing!
So they're at 900 and we're at 400.
Do you remember anyone from there?
It was quite funny when
they're still there. Or?
Yeah. So I hadn't worked so I left Reed in 2013. So nearly 10 years ago. So the people that are still there are in very senior management roles now. So it's good to bump into them because they've got the cafe at 900. It's a good cafe actually. So so Reed own the whole building, and then they allow anyone to use the cafe.
I might check it out.
It's a good cafe. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Yeah, and what did you do after Reed? Did you go, because you started your business about 2 or 3 years ago, didn't you?
So I left Reed in 2013.
Okay.
And then I worked at Robert Half for 6 years. So again, accounting and finance.
Yeah.
Their office is in Milton Keynes, but I covered Northampton.
What was like the biggest change you were looking for when you moved from Reed to Robert Half?
Very good question. So I was 30 when I left Reed, and I was becoming like one of the more senior people in the business, been there for a long time. It was generally ask Jules. So anyone that knew that came in, it was like, ask Jules how you do things. So I was running out of kind of who I would ask for the next level of support. So I was thinking, I'm not done. Like I've got more to give, but I've got no one else to learn from.
So you're looking for a mentor?
Yeah, I guess so. Or like working with more people that had more experience than me. At Robert Half, they have a better earning potential and more career prospects. So I
don't know if it was Stephen Bartlett or was it Alex Hormozy, but one of them said if you find yourself in a group of people where you're outperforming everyone, it's time to move, because there's no one's really pushing you or testing you, and there's no you're not rebuilding resilience at that point. That makes a lot of sense. Did you find? Well, I guess if you're at Robert Half for 6 years, you probably found what you were looking for.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, so, and then got to the same kind of point there that sort of learned as much as I wanted to. There, I couldn't see myself being a regional director or what have you. If I'm honest, I didn't really enjoy management when I was working for other people. So for Reed and for Robert Half. Since working for myself, I think I've realised that managing, you should be your authentic self, and I think by working for someone else, you're managing under someone else's rules or not being your authentic self. So I find it much easier working for myself.
exactly. You believe in the rules more.
Yeah.
It's, you understand they're more closely connected to your vision, I guess. Yeah, I definitely understand that. So what made you take the leap into starting up your own firm?
Well, I guess it was Hayden's fault. I was
Okay.
quite happy being employed. I'm a very go by the rules, do what your manager says.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe I had a bit of a halo, like manager's dream, tell Jules what to do, and she genuinely would do it. So yeah, I wasn't a rule breaker at all. So kind of very unusual, I guess, in the entrepreneurial world, because most entrepreneurs do break rules and don't like being told no. And I'm kind of like, oh, no problem.
You know what? Is that one of the reasons why? Because you specialize in recruiting accountants and finance personnel, and I guess like in terms of the disc profile, finance people are usually quite compliant or steady.
Sure.
And but then it sounds like your personality type as well a little bit.
Possibly, yeah. I for some reason I just align with accountants. I think typically very honest characters. Like as you say, in sales, maybe not always the most honest profiles. If you're interviewing a salesperson, they know what you want to hear and they'll tell you what you want to hear. Whereas if you're interviewing an accountant, they'll just tell you what they want. I want a career in credit control, or I want, I want to progress my career. I'm doing purchase ledger. Do you know what? I love it. I want to stay at that level. Or I want to be the FD of tomorrow. Help me get there. And I'll help them get there. They don't need to tell me some amazing targets that they hit, or hear how well I want them to turn up to work every day. Like, just super honest about what they've achieved, what they want to do. And I guess being in recruitment for as long as I have in Northamptonshire, I know so many accountants in Northamptonshire. Generally, if someone's not telling the truth, I can pick it up quite quick. But generally, accountants are pretty honest.
I guess, even before you've spoken to someone, you've heard everything down the grapevine anyway.
Kind of, If I don't know someone, I'll know their boss, or I'll know someone they've worked with, or I know an environment they've worked with. So if I see a CV and I know they've worked at certain companies, I'll know a little bit about their personality before I've met them.
I guess the accountants in Northampton better behave while you're around. It is.
Well, I've been around a long time, so I think it's in people's benefit to be honest, because if I can't help them this time, or we don't manage to find their job now, I'll be helping them recruit people in their team, or helping them find their next job in 5 years' time.
I think what you're saying is really resonating with me, because I've got a business coach who's called Amanda Watts, C. Watts, and she only works with accountants, but she kind of says similar things, like, they're this really important group who do so much for the economy, but actually they're never properly represented. So, and then that's why she finds it rewarding working for that group, and also her father was an accountant, and and she saw all the pain he went through by not having the right kind of clients and all of that kind of stuff. And she was like, I want to make a difference because of that. And I think it is, to be fair, maybe like from my point of view, I was always closer to being a business owner than a accountant.
Yes. Because a lot of accountants can't sell themselves. You can, but a lot. So it's not their job. Their job's not to sell themselves.
Well, I had to learn the hard way, I guess. It was
running your own business. You do.
It was absolutely. But I think the other thing you're talking about is like, you're hinting at reputation management. And I think what I've noticed recently, more probably over the last 2 or 3 years since COVID, is like people, I think, like candidates who are applying for jobs and stuff, they seem, some of them are really, really good, but then there's other candidates that just keep jumping around. And I can imagine, like, if you've got recruiters in a particular area, then they get to know those candidates, and as long as the recruiter's being ethical, they'll put their client first and make sure they only end up with the best people.
Yeah, it's different people fit in different environments, and because someone got a brilliant reference in one company, they might actually get a terrible reference in another company. And you have to understand why that was. So, for example, like a purchase ledger clerk, you think that all purchase ledger clerks do the same thing. Someone that works for an SME, so a small company, and they're doing everything from entering it, running through the backs payments, and doing month-end processes, everything. is going to be a very different profile to someone that works at like a GXO or a Travis Perkins, and they're one of many in the team that are all doing the same role. So that if you put the one that works for the SME and Travis Perkins, they'll probably hate it. And the one that works at Travis Perkins, if you put them at the SME, they're kind of like, they also hate it. So same job title, but very different roles, and different people will fit in different environments. And it's about understanding why someone goes to work. So do they go to work? Generally, people actually won't tell you they necessarily go to work for money. Like we have to, right? We've all got to pay our bills. But do you go to work to make friends? Do you go to work because you enjoy, like, you get that huge sense of satisfaction from reconciling to that last penny? And those two different people, like the ones that want to make friends, want to be in a busy, buzzy office. And those ones that want to reconcile to the last penny want to be in a quiet space because they just love getting in their zone. So
yeah, I guess, understand the perfectionists and the ones that done is good enough, or
sure, yeah.
But it
everyone's
depends
so
on the
different,
business as well, yeah.
And just because they've got a bad reference in one place, it doesn't necessarily mean they were bad. Like, okay, if you're not turning up to work on time, if you're falling asleep at your desk, that's not great. But if you didn't get on with everyone in your team, then maybe that just wasn't the right space for you. So yeah, for me, it is about understanding people more than just what's on the CV.
So Julie, how do you feel recruitment's changed in the last 10 years?
Hi, it's Nishi here, and before we continue with the rest of the podcast, I just want to take a few seconds to explain what we do. We're a firm of accountants and business advisors, and we are really passionate about helping people grow and scale their own businesses and achieve the lifestyle they deserve. To do this, we've created a series of resources on our website, unrelentingdrive.com. So once you've got a few minutes after this episode, it's definitely worth checking that out. And just a quick reminder, if you do enjoy this episode, just remember to like, share, follow, and subscribe.
It's a very good question. For me, it's changed massively. As an industry, it's over the 10 years, it's become much more regulated. So
there's an actual regulation which makes you do that rather than best practice.
Yeah.
And does every recruiter have to sign up to that regulation, or?
You could be audited at any time. So yeah.
I got it. Okay, yeah. So sorry, I guess that's the difference between regulation and best practice. Like regulation is mandatory, isn't it?
Yeah. So I guess working in large agencies, I just picked up good best practice because we could be audited at any point. So yeah, making sure that we've got everyone fully compliant. People want different things, certainly post-pandemic. I think, as I mentioned about like a purchase ledger clerk, and if they didn't want that purchase ledger clerk job, probably 10 years ago, you wouldn't understand why. Whereas now we're much more aware about emotional intelligence and knowing that someone want that job, or why they want that job. So yeah, much more aware about emotions and making sure that it's the right thing for someone. I'm certainly found that like bookkeeper level, so anyone that was kind of, if I'm honest, pre-pandemic, like 25k and below, actually those people that were on 25k pre-pandemic are generally looking for closer to 30k now. But yeah,
because of inflation and
the skill sets are just so highly required.
Because I was trying to figure this out as well, because like every accountant I talked to said is talking about actually it's harder to recruit, and I think maybe it's because they want to pay what they would have paid 5 years ago, in which case they would be. But the other side of it is like didn't a lot of the baby boomers retire, and because a lot of accountants and accounting staff tend to be older, didn't they? So, and I think from what I understood, just following Accounting Web, like when COVID hit and after all the furloughing and all that kind of stuff, a load of the baby boomers just said, you know what, I'm just going to take an early retirement.
I'm done.
And so there's got to be an element of that, but I don't know if there's any way to measure it or if there's a study on it. It seemed like that was the vibe I got from the forums in Accounting Web.
Yeah, I guess it's about having that work-life balance, and it's becoming more and more important, even up until 2019, but certainly now post-2020, people are much more aware of their health and their well-being. So certainly something I'm getting asked for is a 4-day week a lot. So that kind of 30k bookkeeper role. Yeah. That's and anything below that, often for that skill set, I'm being asked for 4 days, more flexible hours. So
are you finding there's a mismatch between what people want and what's being offered at the moment?
I think it's about education. I feel that maybe when clients ask me what they want, yes, their dream is to have someone 5 days a week. But I think if they understand that the profile that they want, and as long as you could put yourself in someone's shoes, like at a 30k level, you're probably not the breadwinner within the family. So you possibly are the one that, so I'm saying 30k now, but actually pandemic time, 25k. So 25k during pandemic, if you had childcare responsibilities, if you had elderly parents, if there was anyone that needed care, it would generally fall on the person that was on that 25k or below. And actually most of them have enjoyed it and don't want to go back full time. So I start painting the picture of like the profile of person, and I think they start then picturing perhaps their family or their close friends and go, actually, I've seen that happen within my close friendship group. So I don't get too much pushback once I start explaining why people want that way of life. That and if that's a skill set. So we say, do you need that skill set? As in, can we look at the 4-day-a-week type profile? Or is it something that you're prepared to train and you bring in a trainee, because a trainee, yes, will work 5 days a week and for 37.5 hours, because that's what they need to do to start their career. And we decide between those two profiles what's perhaps more important. I'm going to give an example about that kind of level. But
no, it makes sense, definitely. Yeah. And sorry, I think we might jumped ahead a little bit, but so Hayden convinced you to start your own business.
Yeah.
But is that because he saw something in you that you hadn't recognised, or?
Yeah, because again, I was saying that you get to a point where I'd gone as far as I wanted to go within Robert Half, and I say that I put in proposals to set up a branch in Northampton, and they were not keen on setting up a branch in Northampton. They had their satellite in Milton Keynes. So I guess where I perhaps saw my career going just didn't match the model of where they wanted consultants to perhaps go. So yeah, eventually one day I went, go on then, let's do it.
Yeah, I guess take the proposal you've made for them and change it, scribble out Robert Half and put Warner Recruitment on.
Well, it kind of happened quite organically, because at first I just thought, as I say, I didn't enjoy managing when I was working for a large agency. So I thought, fine, I love recruitment. I'll be me in the bedroom doing like my recruitment desk by myself. And if I want to have staff, I'll outsource it. And I, with virtual assistants or what have you. And then it sort of grew some arms and legs, and I did.
How many people did you actually have to manage when you just before you left to start your own business?
Sure, not many. So I had a consistent. So when I was at Reed, I probably had more. I had about 4 in my team when I was at Reed, and then at Robert Half, 1, 2.
So what did you like about management?
I feel like I have to be a bit of a fixer. Like whatever's going on in someone's life, you have to try and make it better.
I get that sometimes, because I think sometimes people do bring personal stuff into work, but the other side is like, it's human beings, they're human, and it's always going to happen. But it's something I talk to a lot of business owners, and actually things they do and don't like about management are pretty much always really common. So I like, typically, I always find when I talk to a business owner, like, they don't like dealing with personal issues. They don't like dealing with unreliability. But then what they do like is they like nurturing someone. They do like mentoring someone. They do like getting a team to a point where they don't have to do the work. But that's the holy grail.
Yeah.
But I guess, it's it takes a while to do that. And so you started Warner Recruitment, and how long ago was that now?
So it was June 2020 I set up.
Okay, all right. So you're almost 3 years old now? Or okay.
Bang on, yeah.
Are you going to have a party?
Oh, do you know what? Yeah, maybe we could. we're moving office very soon, so maybe we could combine the two. So the focus at the moment is moving office, and then we're in there.
So you were on Billing Road, weren't you?
So we started with the address here, so in my dad's office here, and then we went to I started the bedroom, then the office here, and then we went to by the hospital, so Cliftonville, in square feet there,
Yeah.
And then we went from square feet to the Regis building. So we're in the Regis in Brackmills at the moment. And we've got a nice rural location area to be disclosed in the next 2 weeks.
Amazing.
So,
Yeah. So it'd be a grand unveiling.
That's
And
it. Yeah.
that's really cool. Yeah. And what made you want to move?
We want our own front door. So we want to be able to greet people in the way that the Warner way, rather than being under a Regis building. And like, I really believe that people should enjoy their jobs. So it's kind of exciting to create a space that is nice for people to come, and for candidates and clients to. I like to manage the interview process, so we'd be able to do that on that site, so people could come in, and the line managers know that they literally turn up and we do the rest, and then by the end of the day they've got their new employee. As in, we welcome all the candidates onto site, we deal with anyone that's got lost, we take the candidates' feedback after their interview, we provide tea, coffee, lunch, just make it a nice, pleasant environment for someone to conduct interviews in.
That's right. Yeah, that's really good. So your clients actually conduct interviews in your office sometimes.
Yeah.
That's and why is that? Is that just because they don't have their own offices sometimes, because they're probably all working from home now, or a lot of them?
A bit of that. The meeting rooms are at a premium. Sometimes roles are confidential, so they want to get it off site.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Sometimes there's just so many distractions going on in their own office. We manage the interview, so we have them back to back. So it just means they're away from the desk. They're not getting disturbed by their colleagues, and can really focus on their morning on interviews, and then the afternoon's back theirs.
That's probably quite efficient as well, because then you can get the feedback straight away.
Exactly.
And because a lot of the time you'd just be chasing the manager. Okay, yeah, that's actually, I haven't heard of a recruitment consultant doing that before, but it makes a lot of sense. It's and then so the new place you're going to, you're going to be able to deliver that to an even better standard. Absolutely, to be disclosed.
Yes,
it's. I'm sure by the time this goes out, though, people will just.
Hope so.
There'll be a Google pin in it.
Yeah.
That's absolutely amazing. Like, the journey. So, 3 years ago, it was just you working out of the bedroom, and then Hayden worked in sales, didn't he? But he did something quite technical.
He did, yeah. So he was managing director for a UK subsidiary of a Dutch company. In scientific, so water analyzers. So generally working for like United Utilities or Anglian Water and testing wastewater. So very different world. So I stole him.
What made you convince him to give up his job?
Yeah, good question.
Or did he convince you to hire him?
Kind of. Yeah,
okay.
I had to we did have sort of a few funny moments where I would ring and pretend to headhunt him.
Oh, really? Okay, all right. That's a role playing, I guess.
Yeah, there's a great space going on at Warner Recruitment, and we need someone just like you. Yeah. But because he'd been a managing director for a company before, the whole setting up offices, marketing, signage, anything that's not recruitment. Yes, Hayden.
Okay, amazing.
And then he enjoys speaking with the senior accountants. So that was something that he brought in was, when I was at Robert Half, I used to look after part qualified accountants. I found during lockdown that the happy space was generally newly qualified accountants around a 50k zone. So we quite quickly then moved into looking for qualifieds. And then when Hayden joined, more senior than that. So we've made a few placements around the 100k zone now. So that's what...
is that through leveraging a lot of his contacts?
No, not contacts, skills.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah.
yeah, because there's no contacts really from Hayden's industry.
Okay, yeah.
But with his confidence at speaking at senior level, and then with
because
mine.
he's been there, so he can hold his own with them, I guess.
And relate to them. So if he's recruiting for a managing director, he's been a managing director. He knows what they need or want.
Do you include managing directors as well? Because that's a bit outside of finance now.
Yeah, no, we haven't.
Sorry, recruiting for a manager. Yeah, got it.
But one day, as we get bigger, there's only so much you can service with the small team that we are at the moment. But as we grow.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because then, you've got a choice. Do you go further afield, or do you diversify in the area?
You're right, yes.
What do you do?
I think our preference would be to stay in Northampton and diversify within Northamptonshire.
And I guess that's because you like meeting people face to face and...
Yeah, we know the businesses locally,
Yeah.
and so I was saying we know a lot of like the ethos and the feeling within a lot of the local businesses. So you know, if you follow us on social media, you'll see that we put up a lot about local companies or local events. So we're very invested in Northamptonshire. It would feel quite alien to start doing recruitment in a different geographic at the moment.
And it might not be efficient either, because you'd be the amount of time you spend traveling, and then you won't get that synergy from the reputation you've already built. So
so that we're probably leaning more towards diversifying in Northamptonshire at the moment. But then I guess it depends who you bring in. So you might bring in someone that's done lots of recruitment in Milton Keynes or Peterborough, and they say, do you know what, I know this geographic really well, I want to work it. Why wouldn't you let them?
So Hayden joined a few months later, or was it
a
like a year
later?
later?
It was, so we set up in the June 2020 and he joined in July 21.
And then I remember seeing your LinkedIn post where you'd hired 2 more people. And that was when you just got into your office at was it Squarespace?
Yes. Okay. You're probably your memory is better than mine.
Yeah. I mean, we keep bumping into each other over the years, but actually, it's LinkedIn's just. I guess you got your whole story on LinkedIn.
Yes.
And it's like because I just kept seeing you pop up, because actually not that many people I know create like good quality content. So I think like when someone does, they like you kind of notice. Or actually, I think it's more the consistency of the content.
Yeah.
Well, how important has like content been for, like, where do you get most of your work? Is it through what you do online, or is it through relationships that you already have? Or...
Good question. So I think I first thought that when we were in lockdown, like my background was business development, so literally on the phones making calls, but no one was at their desk, so calls couldn't be put through, and also no one was recruiting. So we're thinking June 2020, like you were not thinking about recruitment. And so you really did not want a phone call saying, do you want a temp to start tomorrow? Like, no, thank you. Leave me alone. So I just thought, I'll just let people know I'm around. And I knew it was a hard space for people to, if they were not working, then that was a horrible place to be in 2020 without a job. So I started giving hints and tips to people to find work, because the market will change. It will bounce back. But don't try and hound people for jobs that don't exist right now.
No, you're right. Yeah.
So I just thought I'd let people know that I exist, but give some hints and tips and some like funny things. I was doing dancing in my bedroom, swimming with. I think someone sent me are they called fin swims? Fin swim. The little shark fins that go on the kids' backs. That like.
I'm aware of it. I didn't know what they're called.
Well, that's a Northampton product. And so I got sent one in the post. So I just put on goggles and was doing swimming and just doing silly posts. Because everyone was bored, weren't they?
Yeah, they were.
So lunchtime, laugh at Julie Warner. It's fine, you can laugh at me.
That's amazing, though. But actually, I think the question I asked you, it probably doesn't have an answer, because, like, I've met you through work in the past, but then I was really aware of your journey in business because of you being on LinkedIn. And but then we were connected because of that. So I think the two complement each other, don't they? That's like one thing we do is when we meet new people, like even if it's like a physical networking meeting, we still make sure we connect with them everywhere, because at least then they can see our content in between like our next meeting. And I see you networking a lot as well. You're part of the chamber, aren't you?
Part of the chamber, yeah.
How do you find that?
Yeah, I love being part of the chamber. I think I was nervous when I first started, because I'd done a few events back in 2009.
Yeah.
And I guess being so much younger and working for a large corporate, I wasn't interesting, I don't think, to a networking group like that. Whereas 2020 and running my own business, like I definitely felt very welcomed very instantly. I think that because everything was on Zoom, actually it was unusual for everyone. So that whole walking into a room and not knowing anyone, everyone knew each other, but they were like, how do we interact on Zoom? So I just kind of arms up and about and hi, get myself noticed. And
that's really good, actually. Yeah, because content is about helping people without expecting anything in return. But then the other side of it is, well, I mean, and not to quote BNI, but givers gain, like it. But I think it's paraphrasing karma, really, isn't it?
Yeah, karma, absolutely.
It's,
Give out, and hopefully something nice happens to you on the way. But you've got to genuinely put out nice energy, nice vibes, help people.
Absolutely. Well, how did you? So you started your business, and then July 20. That was, when did the first lockdown happen? It was July 20, wasn't it?
March that the first lockdown happened, and then I think we went into another one in November.
Yeah. So were you? Because that means like for a lot of people, they might have tried to stay where they currently were. Like
I'd already left.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
So I left in the February.
Yeah.
And then we get the lockdown in the March.
Okay. All right. Yeah. That's.
So I think as far as mentally preparing for a lockdown, I kind of already had, like, as far as you could.
Because you were expecting to be quiet at the beginning.
Yeah. So I left like a job where it was a busy, buzzy office, and I'm a people person, like love just being around people. So I was nervous about being on my own, but I guess like psychologically I'd prepared myself that I would be working in the bedroom on my own and not earning much money for a while. And that's exactly what happened. But everyone else joined me.
Then the byproduct of that was you learned the importance of creating content. And
because I wouldn't like that was that's kind of my outlet, was getting behind a camera and chatting to people, and then kind of seeing responses and messaging people on social media. So
I think one thing I've learned about you is you kind of you sort of learn a lesson in probably your first 2 months of business that took me probably about 7 or 8 years to learn. And that, because before, and I see a lot of other businesses doing it, and I just want to, and I'm not a marketing consultant, so I can't always I can't always advise people, because I've got to maintain a certain scope of what we do. But I do see people doing the same thing I did. And like before, we'd just hammer Google, we'd get the SEO done, we'd get the local listing done, we'd make sure we're paying for the pay-per-click, we'd go networking with networking is not bad, but maybe we wouldn't always network in the right places. But we'd go for all of this advertising, and like the best lead generator was just under our noses the whole time.
Well, it's free, as in social media, you mean? It's insane. It's free, and you just got to be brave enough to shove yourself behind a camera.
And also, actually, the only thing is, like, part of it was I didn't really get many clients from it because I wasn't doing it consistently enough. So I was kind of doing it on and off over 7 or 8 years. But because it was so inconsistent, and like I'd do a video once a week, but when I was doing a video once a week, we might get a lead every 3 months, and then I'd think, oh well, videos don't really work compared to the other stuff. But it's because I hadn't realized it. And when we started doing a video every day, then we'd get a good quality lead every week. And there's just this like omnipresence you got to achieve, and I hadn't quite understood that at the very beginning.
Just wanted to be at back of people's minds. Like, oh yeah, I've been meaning to contact you, Lee. And then then the day goes by and you forget. And I was like, something else, I've been meaning to contact Julie. Let's put something out. So like that you eventually, people go, oh bloody hell, I better give her a call.
Absolutely, yeah. It's so that definitely makes. I'd say it's amazing what you're doing there, yeah. And how big is Warner Recruitment now in terms of team, and how do you measure it actually?
Yeah, good question. So when you mentioned we were over at Square Feet, we had quite a few remote workers, people doing a few hours here and there. So now we have 4 in the team. So it's Hayden and me, and then 2 ladies that work 3 days a week. And then we did have a marketeer up until a couple of months ago, but because the new office is not on a bus route, she can't get to the new office. So so she was with us for 9 months doing our marketing. So we're a marketeer down at the moment. We want to get to our new office, and so that people can visualize where the new office will be. But I imagine that I'll probably recruit, I think, 2 part-time people quite early on when we move there. So by part-time, 3 days a week, that works well for us, because I think it gives people that balance of, that whole practice what you preach. Like I say to people that your staff have got other priorities outside of work. Let them have it, whether that's that their family, young family, older family, whatever it might be.
What are the new people going to do?
So a marketeer, So yeah, someone editing videos, putting out videos, telling me what to do, posting things, watching trends, seeing whatever day it might be, whether it's donut day or recruitment day or whatever, and just make sure there's something going out that's relevant constantly. And then the other one would help me on temp recruitment. So I do the temp recruitment. So at the moment, how we structure it is Hayden does permanent qualified. I do anything temporary. So entry level right the way through to £500-600 a day. So yeah, from like literally £10 an hour up to £600 a day.
That's
Yeah.
So and I'm assuming, like, even if you need people who aren't finance staff for recruitment, you recruit them for yourselves.
Carly does all the part qualified accountants and supports Hayden with his qualified process. And then we have Tony, who is our she's our office manager, so looks after admin and manages my diary. So yes, the other two would be marketeer and then someone to help me on temp.
Okay, amazing. Yeah, so that's a really good plan. Yeah. And how do you set targets for yourself? Like, or have you set a target for yourself? Do you know what you want to do?
It's a really good question, and kind of this is a big like post-pandemic, and what does recruitment look like in 2023? And when it's your own business, like, challenge processes, as in just because Reed or Robert Half or another agency have KPIs, set things they need to achieve.
Yeah.
Do we need to do that to be successful?
Do you need to do that?
No, I think that we run a very different process. So we run all together. So we don't run a commission structure at Warner Recruitment. Most agencies do. We think that research, I think, suggests that the average recruitment consultant. So we use a consultant, Steve Carter. So he is 35 years in the recruitment industry. So he was managing director at Robert Half before I was at Robert Half, and Morgan McKinley more recently. And then the last few years is a coach for small SME recruitment businesses.
Oh, right,
and he's done a lot of research into bonuses in the recruitment industry. And the research suggests that bonuses enforce bad behaviour. So by giving someone a bonus, it suggests they've done something good. But have they? Like, if you...
As in, they could have made a very short-term decision and be rewarded for it, whereas...
Yeah. Are they thinking about that person they've just put in a job, or are they thinking about their back pocket?
Absolutely, yeah.
So the average... if you speak to a recruitment manager and you go for an interview tomorrow with a recruitment manager... at any of the large agencies, they would tell you to expect 100k salary. They just would, like, as a recruitment consultant. The average recruitment consultant earns 42,000.
Okay.
So there's a massive disparity. So just pay someone a decent salary. And like in any other industry, what industries pay bonus? As in, your accountant.
Yeah.
Do your staff get bonus?
We do have a bonus scheme. Yeah.
Okay. It's unusual in the accounting world.
Well. Yeah, I put a lot of thought into it, actually, because initially when we're hiring like salespeople, because originally I did want to build a sales team, and then I kind of went off that idea after trying to build a sales team, and we just weren't meeting the right types of candidates. But what I also found was actually, like, making content was a much better strategy. So instead of building a sales team, we went down the route of building a marketing team instead. But when we had the sales team, like, I was always trying to reconcile something in my mind, and it was, well, we've got salespeople and they're going to go out and sell, and then they're going to get paid bonuses. And actually, in certain cases, they're going to get paid a lot more than some of the most key members of our team.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, okay, fine. And because we're in the kind of industry where, our solution is subscription based. So, people pay every month over a period of time. Actually, retention is way more important, actually as important as growing our clients. And one of the things I really wanted to do was actually recognize that our team all had a really important part to play in our growth. So, we did introduce a bonus scheme, but actually, it's kind of split over the whole team to recognize actually the person that does the onboarding, they make a big difference. They're the person that gives that customer service and helps retain that client for, for 5-10 years. That's just as important as the salesperson brings something in. So we do have a bonus scheme. It's maybe not massively lucrative, but it's
So yeah, you'll find in the recruitment industry that most people are on like almost a 25k basic,
yeah,
but then told they should be earning like 100k.
yeah,
So they pay them way less than like a market value should be,
yeah,
and make them work super hard for a decent living almost.
yeah. But I guess then, yeah, ultimately they're probably trying to force people into jobs that don't fit. They're probably well, I'm not saying all of
No,
them, but
it happens.
it does happen. Yeah,
because they want to feed themselves. They want to feed their
and-
family, so they try and push someone to take a job, and that level of pressure. Whereas, yeah, if we pay people a decent basic salary and they do a job because they want to do that job,
it's unsustainable anyway. Because in the end of the day, you can only make a round peg fit a square hole so many times before that client then comes back and says, actually,
you got me the wrong job. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I do understand that. It's so the longer term gain makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I mean, Julie, just like from everything I see about you, it sounds like you've got a strong culture in your business. Do you how did you work it out, or what would you say your culture is?
Sure. So you've probably seen where you like do a hashtag of love your job. So yeah, we want people to love their job, like our staff and your staff, like genuinely want to put people in jobs that they want to do. If we hear, I speak to some clients and they go, oh, you won't like working for me, or you're not interested in working for me because I have a really low staff turnover.
Yeah.
And I say, like, actually quite the opposite. If you've got a low staff turnover, then you're looking after your staff. If you've got someone that's got a really high staff turnover, if you don't understand why that is. So if I speak to someone who says to me, I've been in business for 20 years and I've never had a good member of staff, I sort of think there's something consistent in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
In that you can't possibly have never had a good person work for you in 20 years. So if, for me, that's a massive alarm bell that you're not looking after your staff. So yeah, if someone has a high turnover, if I can understand why that is. So if you have a role that doesn't allow, that's brilliant. So I have some companies that I work for that have a brilliant starting ground. So they help people get purchase ledger experience, sales ledger experience, accounts to trial balance, but then they don't have that next level. Like there isn't an assistant accountant job to promote them to. So naturally after 2 or 3 years, their staff leave because they've gone as far as they can within that business. But it's a brilliant starting place for people. So I know that they look after their staff, and I understand why they have a staff turnover. But yeah, if someone's constantly turning staff over and they say, oh, they were rubbish. Oh, that one was rubbish. That one was rubbish. Then no, I can't recruit.
Yeah, I know someone who's been like taken to tribunal by every single member of staff they ever hired.
Can't recruit for companies like that. Like,
no.
Nah.
I guess, and what is it like? What do you do to really look after your staff in that case? Like, do you have duvet days or?
Sure. I think this is why I really like working with part-time people, because they don't get that Friday feeling. Like actually the opposite. They get like our staff work, so Carly and Tony work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So they get excited about coming to the office. Don't get me wrong, I think they're ready to go home on a Thursday afternoon, right? It's their Friday. But I think that having part-time staff helps because they've got another interest outside of work.
So your preference is always to bring on part-time people?
I feel that you get access to talent that you wouldn't otherwise get if you look for part-time people.
It's better to have 2 part-time people than 1 full-time.
That's worked for us.
It's interesting you say that, because I've always been the opposite, but I can see your point of view, definitely. I've got no doubt like your staff are really happy, but like my mindset's always been when we hire someone, I want them to live and breathe what we do.
Sure. And not everyone will. Some will.
No, you're right.
And I guess if people are progressing their career, so if I was bringing on a trainee, I'd want them 5 days a week. Like trainees work well 5 days a week.
So it depends, because actually we do have a lot of trainees in our business, but I think you're right. Like if we had more senior people. And actually, what you're suggesting would make a lot of sense
I
at
think as a
that
small
point.
business, you can offer things that large companies can't.
Yeah,
Like, oh, well, we don't offer that for anyone else in the team, so why should we offer that to you? You don't have those restraints in a small business. So if it's right for that member of staff, offer it. And I'm always trying to think about, what I say. So if someone's on a company offers a 20-hour holiday,
yeah,
20 days a year holiday,
yeah,
I often think, have they ever reviewed their benefits package and do they value
yeah.
their staff? So then I'm like, oh, well, actually, we offer 20 days. So yeah, we offer 23 and we close during Christmas. So just simple things that like allow people to live.
Well, yeah, we don't really offer like home working, but we do offer 30 days plus bank. Although our HR people tell us to offer 38, including bank holidays, and then we don't get
38 days holiday.
including bank holidays.
Oh, okay, yes, it's 28.
Yes,
Yeah.
so it'd be 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like our HR person, she essentially said, well, if you want to cover yourself from the government giving away extra bank holidays, you could just change that to 30 days. 38 including. But in the end, we just stuck with 30 plus bank holidays because I think the goodwill gesture or the goodwill impact in taking away someone's extra bank holiday just through it's not really
So yeah,
worth
you
it.
offer good holidays. Anyone 25 plus is good.
Yeah, we do other things as well. We try and we do 9:30 to 5, so we only do half an hour for lunch, but at least it means people can miss the rush hour at the beginning. And we do think about things like that. I think I do get people need to do other stuff in their lives. They can't. When I say I want them to live and breathe the business, I just want in a professional context. I don't want them to be thinking about it when they go home.
Sure.
And yeah.
And I think that's, we talked about the generations and how I'm a bit of a geek on the generations. But so your baby boomers, you definitely see the generation changes. So for me, baby boomers would have done business on the golf course.
Yeah.
They generally finished early on a Friday. The manufacturing sites that still close at 1 o'clock on a Friday, that's thanks to our baby boomers. They're going to the pub at lunchtime. Your Generation Xers are the ones that computers came in during their lifetime at work. So baby boomers worked hard, Generation Xers worked hard and were told to work hard by their parents who are baby boomers, but also told when the technology came in, they were like, wow, we can work even harder and faster and more efficient. So they just worked longer and harder and took that's when the Blackberries came in. So they were checking their emails from home and that's the generation that started with mobile phones. So we're taking phone calls on holiday. You'll find that your generation, your baby boomers do tend to turn their emails off when they're on holiday. So your Generation Xers will keep working.
Yeah.
Your Gen Y are generally been brought up by your Generation Xers. So I think there's a bit of a split in your Generation
Which
Y.
generation are we? We're about the same age. Okay,
yes.
We're Generation Y.
So some of the Gen Ys associate more with your Gen Zs of like, why are we doing 9 till 5? This doesn't make sense. Why are we sitting in traffic for so long? Could we not work from home or change our hours? So that was kind of starting to be challenged by Gen Y. Or I feel like you and I kind of sat more with having been trained by Generation Xers about, work is life.
Yeah. I agree with that. But you know what, with that, so what's the next? So we've got Ellie here. Ellie, what generation are you?
You Gen Z. Yeah.
Okay, Gen Z.
Yeah.
What's after Z? Is it A?
I don't know what they're calling it yet. Do you know what they're calling it for Gen Z? No, I did know at one point.
Gen 1, I don't.
Yeah, maybe they've gone to different, to number system, but yeah, so...
they're like the old license plates.
But Gen Z don't know, we had our childhood without computers. So but mobile phones kind of came in our teens, and then, so you're Gen Z. I've never known life without technology.
But what I find is we got quite a few Gen Z people in our business, but in a lot of ways they're more mature than I am. But yeah, and it's one of those things though. Like or maybe that's just me, but sometimes I do struggle to connect with Gen Z a bit. I don't know if every Gen Y person feels like that, but it takes a lot of proactivity.
It's the Generation X and Gen Z that clash the most. That kind of hard, so Hayden's a Generation X. So like the computers came in when he was in the workforce, and so they just work. Like, and if you're not in work, why are you not in work? Like, if you take
I thought Hayden was our age.
No, he's he's
okay,
older than us. He's 10 years older.
Oh, is he? Okay, all right, yeah, fair enough. So
yeah, if you're not at your desk, early, what are you doing? If you leave early, what are you doing? If you take 5 minutes extra for lunch, what are you doing? Like, just that kind of, that generation is, whereas Gen Z are like, I don't get it. Like, they just don't understand how Generation X's are so work heavy.
So do you sometimes think it's because, like, maybe Gen X believe in it's about working hard and then retiring, whereas I think a lot of Gen Z people I talk to, they don't really understand the concept of retiring.
Sure, yeah.
And maybe it's just because everyone's built something up to them to tell them, hey, by the time you get to that age, you'll never be able to retire. So I think maybe they're kind of pacing themselves a bit more. They know.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I kind of feel that way a little bit. I think, they're there for a longer. They know they're going to be active for longer.
The two theories that I have is that your Generation Z are generally the children of your Generation X. Okay. So they're the ones that worked incredibly hard. They saw their mum and dad work incredibly hard every hour under the sun. And I thought, I don't want that life. Or the parents have said, just don't work as hard as I did.
Yeah.
So I feel there's that. And then also your baby boomers or your Gen X were born to baby boomers, which are post-war. So that whole work hard and you'll have a good life, like that kind of post-war boom, that's has been fed through to your Generation X's.
But a lot of that, I guess, was based on acquiring property and building up your pension. And those are things that aren't quite as viable now. But then the new property is, I guess, like digital, like creating digital assets for yourself, and like maybe a podcast or a LinkedIn platform or I think property is just, the view of property has probably changed a lot. And I think a lot of Gen Z would probably view like spending a lot of time on their phone building up their network as quite a constructive thing.
And what is property now? As in, they probably watch their grandparents, all their inheritance go to old age homes, and actually their inheritance has just been spent there. So they probably think, why would I want that?
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Keep renting.
Yeah.
Or is it even possible to, I don't know, is it possible to get on the property ladder as a Gen Z person? Or do you value more other things, as in
travel or?
Yeah, like stuff that wasn't, I didn't buy a coffee every day as a student, but I think students do now. And people laugh about avocado and toast. That wasn't like just the taste buds and the style of life, we used to have, I don't know, do the students now have like pasta and tomato ketchup and that's your dinner? I don't know. Like, that hit a Gen Z taste bud.
I think food prices have come down a lot since. And I know we got a cost of living crisis.
Sure,
but
yeah.
Actually, there was a point where food prices started to come down so much where students could probably afford like Domino sauce instead of ketchup, or at least the supermarket equivalent. So maybe they could actually just have proper pasta. But actually, I think maybe it's just, when I was growing up, if I wanted like the latest games console, or if I wanted like anything, it was a lot more expensive back then. Like maybe not property, obviously, but I think certain consumer items were, whereas they're a lot more accessible now. So maybe Gen Z feel a bit more content with whatever they've already got. But no, it is important to understand that, actually, because if I'm only, and this is where I kind of feel like if I'd understood a lot of this stuff much earlier on in my business journey, I probably would have handled certain relationships differently, and I would have handled.
Well, hindsight's a wonderful thing, right?
Yeah. I kind of I had a business coach like a few years back, and he really got me into understanding disc profiles and personality profiles. And that actually did, that was important, because one of the really important things he told me about was like how, where you, like, especially with disc, like you got dominant influences, you got steady people.
Yes.
And you've got
And cool.
compliant people.
Yeah.
And cool people.
Yeah, cool. I thought I was going to go cautious, but compliant.
And one of the things that he always told me is like, if you take a high D and put them with a high C, then all they're going to do is naturally move away gravitate away from each other. And it made me really aware of just changing my style when I was dealing with people. But
big time, and I've had to learn that as well as a performer, as in, I did my degree in dance, and as you know, I still dance. So like that high, and accountants are not that. So learning to match whoever you're speaking with, because that's not comfortable for an accountant for me to do singing and dancing self.
No, so that's really, really good. So so if I could ask you the question, like, what's the toughest thing you've had to go through since you started your business? Like that thing that probably made you want to give up, or the closest to giving up?
That's so weird. Everyone says that you'll come across those.
Yeah.
And like, it's felt really natural for me. And I guess that's setting up a business later in life. So I'm 39 now, and Hayden's 50. So yeah, we've both set up a business a lot later in life. So we've been really lucky that some of those perhaps mistakes or learning we've done in other people's businesses rather than our own. Because often if you're an entrepreneur, you would set up a business in your 20s, and of course you would make crazy mistakes because you're high energy in your 20s. And
I think I was 29 when I started this, but then I made crazy mistakes.
Sure. So we were both in management roles before. So I'd been able to like experience that in other places. Lucky enough to be our authentic selves. I've like been through a lot of training, so they like disc profile training, NLP training. I did all of that working for other people. So I've been really lucky to have been heavily invested in training for other companies. Probably like the biggest mistake, or no, because I say it's a mistake. Like I've recruited lots of people that I've known, like Carly, I've worked with her before, and that's worked really well. Like Tony is my mum's best friend, and it just happens to work. She's where she's at in her life. It works with where we're at. So no like major mistakes. Just communicate, like as in communicate is so important. So if Hayden's not like something, sometimes I'll just go, trust me, run with it. And other times he'll say, told you so, but that's okay. Nice.
Amazing. Okay. And so are you the managing director of Warner Recruitment, or is Hayden?
We're joint owners, 50-50.
Okay. Oh, sorry. I meant in terms of your roles, but as in...
We both call each other managing director,
Okay, right.
We call each other recruitment director, if I'm honest, like rather than managing director.
Sometimes
we both recruit.
Like I've seen in some partnerships, like one person will take on like a sales director role, one person might take on a technical director or operations director, and they'll like split the responsibilities in the business. But I guess you've kind of done it by permanent and temporary, haven't you? Or like a certain grade of recruitment.
So Hayden would do more operational. So the office move down to Hayden. Anything like air conditioning going on the walls. I'm so not interested. He's so interested in that. And making the office look nice. Hayden, like he'll ask my opinion and then I'll leave him to it. So marketing's generally Hayden's thing. So if he wants to make a brochure look nice, he's your details one. If you've got a temp job that needs filling and someone needs to be there tomorrow morning, like I'm your one. Like I react super quick. So I'm much more your if you put more of a typical director or entrepreneur, that's probably more me. I'm more suffer with the shiny penny syndrome, like what's that way? What's that? Hayden's much more like the focus and but if you give me a temp job to start tomorrow morning, like no one talk to me, I'll until it's filled, and then hi, I'm back again. We're
really cool.
Both very, very different personalities, and that's what makes it work. I think that if it was just me, I don't think people would enjoy working for us. And I think, don't tell Hayden, but if it was just Hayden, maybe they wouldn't enjoy working for him either. But I think the
so you got the synergy.
Absolutely. I'm kind of the high energy and happy-go-lucky, and Hayden's much more the detail. And I think especially if you've got people that enjoy admin and detail,
Amazing. Yeah. It's
Yeah. So yeah, it works. It just complements each other. Yeah. We say that it's annoying because what we do together tends to work. We say we could have a much easier life if we weren't together, because as in like dance, we take very, very seriously. Work we take very seriously, and yeah, we seem to succeed in what we do together.
that's absolutely amazing. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, to partners working together in a business that can
Yeah.
achieve so much. So
And maybe that's why, as I say, I've not made any crazy mistakes because I've got my cautious Hayden on my
Yes.
shoulder, sort of saying, yeah, don't do it.
amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, guess we're coming to an end, but like, what bit of advice would you give to someone starting up if they were thinking of starting their own recruitment business or any other kind of business?
Save, prepare, and prepare. Is that the kind of the right word? Plan. So if you want to set up by yourself, be prepared that that year before save, because the year that you're in business, the first year you won't earn any money.
Did you know a year before you were going to leave?
As in, I knew that I was going to leave, and
As in, like with Robert Half, did you actually you'd planned it that far in advance?
yeah, you have to know that you're going to leave. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I gave myself about 3 months, but it was
So prepare, save, know that you're not going to earn money for a while. And for me, especially with like a husband and wife business, I wanted a business coach quickly, because I've seen a lot of husband and wife businesses where the business has been successful, but the staff haven't enjoyed working there. And as I say, it's really important for me to have staff that like working for us.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have someone that made us aligned.
Oh, amazing. Who's your business coach?
So that's Steve Carter. So he's the chap who's been in
yes,
recruitment.
Yeah, you mentioned him earlier.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
So
Okay,
he's been in recruitment.
Were you working with him from day one?
Not day one, quite early from when Hayden joined. So Hayden joined in the July and we brought him on probably September.
Oh, amazing. Okay, yeah. So he's like the referee in some ways, or
well, he's very clear that he's not a relationship advisor.
Okay, all right, yeah,
yeah, we just talk business. Yeah,
okay,
but we make sure that the business is all going in the same direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's absolutely amazing, Julie. It's been amazing to have you on. I think whoever's watching this would have gained so much insightful information.
I hope so. Yeah.
So, and I certainly have. And thank you for joining us.
Great pleasure. Thanks for having me.